gentleman Ben Cherington says, and he says this all the time, that it's just about getting better. Everything we do is to try to make the team better, make the organization better, to just keep getting better. You know what's the real problem with saying that? Not doing it. Good morning to you. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer daily shots of the two teams in town that care. The Brewers care about winning. Matt Arnold, the other finalist for the GM job that went to Cherington here in Pittsburgh, cares. He's competitive. That franchise has been competitive. That franchise has not only won the Central Division 2 years in a row, but that franchise has earned such crazy praise throughout the industry that they're seen as being just miles above the rest of the teams in the Central. Not just the Pirates. Everybody's miles above the Pirates. I'm talking about the Cardinals, the Cubs, the Reds. They're in a class of their own when it comes to the Central. And yet, you know what happened yesterday? The Brewers made a big change. Their coaching staff. They removed Ozzie Timmons, who'd been their hitting coach, and replaced him with Al LaBeouf, a 64-year-old, interestingly enough, who's never coached in the majors, and added him to a staff that already had Eric Thiessen. Now, I don't care about that any more than you do, meaning from the hitting coach standpoint. But I want you to hear the numbers that the Brewers had this season. In addition to, winning 93 games, the Brewers ranked 6th in all of Major League Baseball in runs scored, averaging 4.8 per game. They ranked 8th in batting average at 248. They ranked 4th in on-base percentage. Out of all 30 teams, they ranked 4th with a 326 OBP. They got career best seasons out of William Contreras, Willie Adames, and of course Jackson Chourio came along and did his thing. And still, somewhere within that, Arnold, who makes that call, just like the GM makes the call on the hitting coach in Pittsburgh, said to himself, you know what? This isn't enough. There wasn't, by every accounting, and I, for the purposes of doing this episode, checked the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, I checked the Associated Press, checked the Brewers' own statement. There was no ill will whatsoever between them and the gentleman who lost his job. So it wasn't like he was found doing some terrible thing and they got rid of him and they had to find replacements. No. Every single version of this was that the Brewers just wanted to get better, as in even better. Why? Well, because they've won a couple of division titles. They've made the playoffs 5 years in a row. And they haven't won it all. They haven't won the World Series. Actually, they've never won the World Series. So the mindset up there in a market that's 2/3 the size of Pittsburgh, that's how much smaller the Milwaukee market is than the Pittsburgh metro area, is let's do everything that we can. That begins with owner Mark Attanasio, always spending up to what he can. That puts the Brewers in the range of about 130 million. It continues to Arnold, and it courses down through what is seen, at the risk of repeating myself, as one of the better overall systems for acquisition and development anywhere in baseball, including the vital Latin American pipeline that Cherington let rot. And that's how that team can lose Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff just like that, very different circumstances, but they lost them, and still come right back with another 93 wins and run away with the division, because they've got this stuff that the Pirates like to pretend that they have. They have a really good system, a regular flowing process that keeps prospects moving up the pipeline into Milwaukee. And the Pirates have none of that. Maybe Bob Nutting and or Travis Williams aren't aware of this. Maybe they are. I'd like to think that they are. But then again, maybe I'd like to think that they aren't, because that would have me in a weird kind of way thinking more of them, because they'd be independently knowledgeable about what the Pirates should be doing and could be doing, even if everybody involved was committed to staying cheap. If they'd made the right choice, and remember, Williams was in on that hiring process as well, if they'd chosen Arnold over Cherington, I can't. I'm not going to do that to you. I'm not going to start off your day like that. When we come back, J1Q.
It's Gun Storage Check Week. Help prevent unwanted access to your firearms. No one wants their unsecured gun to be used in an accident, a suicide, or a crime. Use lockboxes, safes, and locks to secure your firearms. Learn more at gunstoragecheck.org. That's gunstoragecheck.org. Brought to you by NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association.
Today's J1Q comes from Trent, who says, DK, there are 30 teams in Major League Baseball. There are 32 in the NFL and the NHL. Baseball is expected to expand by 2, whether it's Nashville, Salt Lake City, Montreal, or wherever. Maybe Bob Nutting's waiting to get his share of the expansion entry bonanza. Well, Trent, first off, without getting into a discussion on which cities should or likely will get an expansion team, I will express all over again that what was done to the Expos in first stripping them down for parts and making it appear as if Montreal didn't care about the franchise, when in fact they were just reduced to nothingness after 1994 and the strike that robbed them of a World Series that year. They absolutely should be one of the teams. Plus, it would be nice to have a second team again in Canada. Now that I have that out of the way, just this past year, Rob Manfred was quoted in an Austin newspaper as saying that he expects that the expansion fees that Major League Baseball will charge to whichever owner, whichever entity buys one of these teams will be $2 billion. And yes, I said billion with a B. And that's obviously a nice chunk of change. For anybody who doesn't know how this expansion stuff works, when an expansion team comes into any league, the expansion fee is divided up, plain and simple, into however many teams there are existing in the league. So you get 1/30th of that if you're the Pirates. And I did that math as well. And the figure was $66 million. And I'm going to keep saying this. I don't mean to make $66 million sound like it's pocket change. I don't mean to make the annual profit, whatever it is that the Pirates collect, whether that's $10 million or $20 million. I don't believe it's more than $20 million. I really genuinely don't. It's nothing compared to just selling the team. It's nothing compared to selling the Pirates for $1.5 billion, which is what I believe they would get. I base that on the Royals just having sold for $1.4 billion. I base that on other recent franchise sales, including in other sports. The Penguins right here in Pittsburgh sold for $900 million, and NHL teams aren't worth as much as baseball teams. Well, at least in places other than Pittsburgh, although even in the Pittsburgh scenario where the Penguins are the more popular team of the two by a mile, actually, the Pirates would still be worth more because the Pirates collect more in national monies. So 1.5 is your figure. And that dwarfs everything else that we could bring up. If you want to get conspiratorial about this or that, or Nutting's so happy making this amount of profit every year, you have to factor in the $1.5 billion. A check that is written to you right now for $1.5 billion, my friends, goes a long, long way for a lot of years. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Pirates. We're going to do another one of these tomorrow.